Hello and welcome back to the Oh My Gosh, You're Glowing podcast. My name is Lindsay Walker, and today we have an incredibly special guest with us, the second guest ever on this podcast, and she had to be one of the first. And once you get to know her, you're going to love her just as much as I do. So, welcome to the podcast, my mom, Lisa. Welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you. And seriously, okay, we scheduled to start recording this podcast almost an hour ago, and somehow it's taken this long to press record. So,
Mm.
unfortunately, no, you will not hear the rambling that we did for about 45 minutes, but don't worry, I'm sure there will be more. So,
Mhm.
welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
We're very, very excited to have you. And she is also an energy healer, does a little bit different of energy healing than I do. She does what's called Ahai and also does stone medicine. She is an incredibly intuitive woman herself and just all around beautiful soul. And I am so lucky to be able to call her my mom. And so I'm very, very excited for you all to get to know her as well. So we're going to dive in because we have a lot of, when we were talking, I wanted to bring her on this podcast because we have a lot of similar experiences, but maybe with a different lens. So there's just a good time for people to have a different experience or a different viewpoint on this. But actually, before we get started, there's actually something I was going to ask you. You don't know I'm going to ask you this, but I heard you say something.
Oh, good gosh. Okay.
Before we get into any like real questions,
Oh,
tell me what crystal you have with you today, because I know you have one.
I have more than one.
Okay, let's hear it, see it. For those of you watching video, you can actually see. So Spotify and YouTube will have video.
So this is one of my newest Euphoria lights.
Ooh,
Got blue tourmaline and I don't know the pink. It kind of reminds me of a baby, blue and pink.
I like it.
And then the one I agonized over picking at the gem show this year. She knows
It's a
what
whole thing.
it is a whole thing. I learned a lot. Anyways, it's a rose quartz golden healer.
Oh, and you brought that one today?
I
What?
did. The one that gave me the most grief this gem show,
Oh
trying to
man.
pick. And grief, not in a bad way. It's just, I stressed over it. I don't know why. It was
Okay,
so,
but didn't we talked about this recently? Like what made you act
oh,
because you had an epiphany on this. I
I
want you
did.
to share. What was
Okay.
your epiphany from this rock?
So it was not just this rock, all the
Okay,
rocks.
all the rocks.
So when I go to the gem show with you, and we had your aunt, my sister with us, but then I go with anybody, they'll pick up a rock. And I'm like, oh, I want that rock. It was sitting there. I didn't care about the rock. They pick it up. I'm like, oh my God, now I have to have that rock, but they're holding it. Now I can't have it. And I get all mad. I'm like, I wanted that rock. It's amazing. And then they walk away with it. And I'm like, ah. So I go over, and if there's more of them, I look. And I'm like, no, no, that was the one. Okay.
She makes
Finally.
us feel terrible buying
Do
crystals
I?
by yes, because you pick something up. This is what happens. Let me explain to you from my perspective. You pick something up. I pick something up
You
and I'm
pick
like,
it up.
wow, isn't this amazing? You're like, oh my God, that's my favorite one. And I'm like, shit. Like,
So,
I'm sorry.
so what happened was, being the little shit she is, she's like, fine, here, I, take this rock. I'm holding it.
Wait,
I'm
this
like,
wasn't me.
yeah, yeah, you did this to me at the
Oh,
Brazilians. Yes, you did. 100%. The mind remembers. So you guys took the best rose quartz golden healers. I don't like any of the others. Melon, my sister, she picked up one. Oh, that was so good. And then you pick up one. I'm like, oh, and you're standing there. Fine, here, I'm holding this rock. You want it? Because it was. I'm like, I don't want that. Who wants that rock? I'm like, what the heck? I don't want that rock. Finally, I figured out I can feel you wanting the rock. That's what I'm feeling. It's your feelings towards the rock. It's not my feelings towards the rock. So this is a lesson that I'm still working on. I feel stuff and I think it's mine. It is not mine. I'm like, this isn't mine. I have to keep telling myself, like when I'm doing sessions, oh, not mine. This isn't mine. So the feelings towards the rocks is not my feeling. I'm feeling what you feel towards the rock. Oh, Lord, how did we have to get to figure that out? Right. But here we are. How many gem shows?
I wish I would have known this all this time. Picking up these rocks and I'm like thinking I'm taking like your favorite piece you've ever found. And I'm like, geez, like
I
very
just can
sorry.
feel people's love for the rock. And so,
I mean, you confirmed that I actually really liked it enough to
right.
buy
So if I'm
it.
not feeling anything, you probably should put it down. Like, I don't get anything from that one. So you don't really like it.
Well, yeah, that's why it was like so confirmed when you said that because I would like just randomly pick something up like, oh, here's a nice one. You're like, oh no, I don't like that one, and because I would just pick up a random one, and I was like, well, it is really nice. Not that I want it, but you're like, oh no.
Exactly. You didn't want it. That's so I get overwhelmed at the gem show. And if you've never been, it's like my two rocks on so much steroids. You can't, I mean, there's a sea of crystals everywhere. And you walk in and well, how is there a bad one? There isn't, in my opinion. So trying to narrow it down, oh, I only want this or this, and okay, it's so difficult. Then sometimes the energy of the rocks can start to mess with your body if you're
Oh my gosh,
people, right? We've had an experience one year where like, I need to leave. Like, I
it's
need
too
to leave.
much, too
It
high
was,
vibe.
oh my God. I'm like, I must get out of here. I don't care what they have. I don't care what I've gotten or what I haven't gotten. I'm out of here. I need to leave.
And somebody else picked it up too.
Yeah, we went to another vendor and he offered us his bathroom. I'm like, he can
How
tell.
do you know?
And I'm like, sir, I want to say, sir, I don't think I should be using your own private bathroom. This isn't kind of going to be a quick situation. The effects from the last place, whoa. Like, oh, that's very kind. No, no, I don't think so. Thank you, though. But this year, when I just had to do quick little thing, I did use his bathroom because I didn't have that effect this time. But 2 years ago, it was like, woo.
We must have been clearing out a lot because yeah, I didn't feel that at the same place. Like I didn't feel so over. Although I was also just shrooming it up too. So I don't know. Does that make
I
it
don't
better
know
or
what was
worse?
happening, but 2 years ago, we had it
Oh my God, that was crazy.
was these Brazilians that have all these quartz from
This is
Brazil.
the same place with the rose quartz golden healer you're talking about. This is the same
Yes.
location.
Oh, and then the guy who offered a bathroom. This is where I got that.
Wait, oh. Okay, it's like literally the same place we have to go to every year.
Uh,
These two places, they're down
to
the hall
one
from each other.
hotel.
Yeah.
You go and
On
you
the side of
go,
the highway. It's like a motel. It's casual.
and the one guy, you go in his room.
It's not
Literally.
weird. Like everyone has like a room.
It's a
Just
thing. You
like,
got used to it. But,
yeah.
this year you guys couldn't figure out because the door was closed and it said, son, I'm not here. And they're like, you were supposed to be here. Where are you? Like,
I
oh,
mean,
I
how
just
was
have a
I supposed to know?
private showing and a whole discussion about aliens going on.
Which, okay, you want to know which one I have? Because you know I always have one because I
Okay,
gotta
what do
like
you
grab
have?
one as we're speaking.
Oh, Alien Night.
Wait, why won't
Ooh,
it focus? Come
I
on now.
know.
Oh,
Oh, there you
oh,
go.
oh, here we go.
Oh, your lion one.
I know. I think he said this was like some kind of
Yeah.
extraterrestrial, like Lyrian or something. I don't know. I
You and your
forget.
lion
I
theme.
know.
What's going on?
Isn't he cute?
Oh, there you go. Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
Very nice.
So
So
when, oh
many.
my God, we used to be like, I need to go grab crystals. I was like, oh, what you got?
What you got? I mean, yeah, that's what I grabbed. I don't know.
All right. So it
Okay, what we're supposed to talk about.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
It really
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
So, anyways, maybe this happens to other people. You're thinking, and maybe it's not your own you're feeling.
Yeah, I know that like this has been well, I noticed you have this realization like more and more and more, especially when you were going through the Ahai training, because obviously you were
Oh,
practicing more on like
oh,
receiving
right.
messages, like figuring
Oh,
out how to determine like what energy to move, all the things. And then it was kind of confirmed with that experience at the gem show when you were like, because you realize, I saw you realize like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much because I talk about like the different clairs. Maybe you see, feel, hear,
mhm,
smell, whatever, and you can have all of them, but naturally you're just going to be drawn to one. And you
right.
just seem to be very drawn to feeling. But like you were saying, like you just always feel things in your body, like have for a long time. But then, like I heard you say when you were doing sessions and you could talk about it, that you were just starting to feel things and you had to be like, wait a minute, like, is this mine? So it kind of goes along with like the stones
Yeah.
that you feel other people's
Feel,
stuff.
feel. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I when I did the first one on you, you had just had your cavitation surgery, and I'm doing stuff, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that is the gallbladder meridian. When I
Mm,
wasn't, oh, it's you. And so I knew to go to the gallbladder.
right.
And like I've done some sessions. Like there was one, and like, oh, geez, what's wrong with my heart? Oh, it's not me. Okay. Like I have to actually sit there and say, not me, not me.
Right.
Or I've done a few, or I get a little pain here, but oh, it's you. So it just like it's my signal, which I wish I would have known that when I was working at a doctor's office with all these patients coming in, and I'd be like, what is wrong with me? Like there was one day I thought I'd been stabbed in the side. I was like, this is like really bad. And it was a chiropractor I was working with in the morning and then the holistic doc in the afternoon. And she could help clear emotions and stuff. And she came in and I usually, stuff would be going on. I wouldn't say much, but this was so bad. I was like, no, something's wrong. And I could pinpoint the time. We went and got the patient schedule and I said, that person. And she's like,
That's
because
crazy.
she said it was a female. I go, psh, boom. And she's like, yeah, you picked up something from her. I was like, well, she's in a lot of pain. You need to help her. And she hadn't been in for a long time because she had been hurt her back or something and was in so much pain she couldn't even get in a car and
Oh,
ride.
wow.
So then when she came in, I was like, oh, dear gosh. And I'm like, oh, it's not mine. So I sort of walk around. Not mine, not mine. I have to tell myself, not mine, not mine. I've gotten better in sessions. Not mine, not mine.
I mean, yeah, I feel like now that you realize that in sessions, like going in, just being like, okay, this is how I feel. Anything else outside of this is not mine. But like,
Not
how do
mine.
you have you kind of figured it out day to day, or is it still like, oh my gosh, I'm like picking stuff up all the time?
Well, some days I don't know if it's collective energy or what. There's just days I'm like, oh, what is this? Perchance your father, I don't know what he could be giving off sometimes. No shade, but whoever. And sometimes I'm sitting there going, oh, is it mine? You just have to kind of, let's see if you can. You have to move through it no matter what because you're feeling it.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I have, but I'm sure sometimes I try to go down a rabbit hole. Oh my gosh, I have this whatever, which is, the past pattern of, oh, this is going on. I have this problem. I'm like, I don't even need to go on Google. I'm like already down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, stop. So, maybe, well, and I don't have a car to use right now. I haven't been out of the house much for the last week. So I
Oh
think
gosh.
being in the house a lot, I haven't been around people.
Oh, well, I'm sure you know your energy really well. It's probably real clean.
It's like, this is kind of lovely. Now I know why my lymphatic therapist doesn't leave her house much.
Yeah, I don't like to leave my house very much. And people are like, you need to get out. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's
but then I
it's
have to
good.
like move through your shit. I don't want to move through
Exactly. Which,
yours.
oh, do I have? Oh, I know I didn't put my shungite on. I have shungite. I have shungite here. Oh, silly. There's a big old
Oh
hunk.
shit. I'm thinking
Oh,
you're gonna pick up some like tiny ass stones.
no, this is part of that kilo I bought a couple years
Oh.
ago. Yeah, your father was with me, and I'm like, I'm buying a kilo of shungite, and he's like, what are you gonna do with that? Oh, it's gonna go all over the house. He's like, I go, don't worry. Then he got mad when I put it on the router, and we didn't have very good Wi-Fi. I was like, okay, I'll take it off. It's like whatever.
No, but
But
I feel like a lot of people like think all like every single sensation and feeling in their body is theirs. Now, I mean, I'm not to say that it's not, but I'm guessing if you're
sometimes,
listening to this podcast, you're probably not like regular run-of-the-mill human. And
hmm
especially if you're listening to this episode, I feel like it's just gonna, attract a certain individual.
okay.
I'm
Well,
like, maybe
anyways,
it's not
yes. So
yours.
beware. It
But you
may
can't
not.
get mad at it either, because if it's
No.
here, like now you gotta let it go.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter if it's yours or not. You gotta deal with it. So I say, but so it's not always yours is my message.
There you go. That's a good one.
It's not always yours. So you don't have to get mad at yourself or your body. Oh my God, what or don't feel shame like, oh, what did I do now? Like that's not even something we should do, but we do, but.
Yeah.
So
No, that's super common of like, oh my gosh, what did I eat now? Or what did
yeah,
I
what did I
interact with
eat?
now? Or
Yeah.
oh my gosh, and now it's the blame game and now you're pointing
Right.
fingers and you're like, that never happened to me before. I ate that before and it never
Yeah.
happened. Or I was in
Mm,
this place before and that never happened. Well, that place is
right.
not the same. That food was not the same. You're not the
Right.
same. You know, everything's
Exactly.
different, everything's changing.
Yes. So.
So I do want to hit a little bit on your dental cavitation surgery. I already had a whole podcast talking about it. So if you want to go back and hear my experience, I go over the entire thing and everything that came from it. So I don't remember what episode number, but you can go back. It's one of the first ones. But I did it because it really came from you actually experiencing it and going through it. And so I do want to bring this to this conversation only because I know one, you had a little bit different experience than me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we don't need it. Well, you can talk about how we got there in a nice way if you want
I
to.
will. Yes, I will.
Okay, I'll
Present
let
it.
you do that one.
Okay.
But that also like one, you had a different experience during it, after, and it just for people, the reason I keep bringing this up, people are probably sick of me talking about this thing because it honestly is something that not many people talk about. Some people don't even say is real or needs to be addressed. And we're sitting here, two of us, and there's others that we know of that have had such significant healings, experiences from this particular procedure that some people just chalk up to not even being real. And I feel like there's so many more people out there that are chasing rabbit holes that if they just looked at this one thing, it would probably clear up a lot of things. So,
Okay. Um, I knew I had a sluggish lymphatic system, and I went 2 hours a week every week for I think 3 years. But it just kept me going. But anyways, what was it? 2021, we did a online class together
yeah, 21, 22,
somewhere. And
something
the
like that.
person I think was having their procedure during our class.
Hmm.
And they just would not let go of the subject. And we're both like, what the heck? And we're just like, and in a way that they didn't explain it. So we're
It
just
was
like,
just like, oh my God, it's so powerful and life
yes.
changing. And it was like,
And
bye
you need to do this,
bye.
and you have to go to this place in Texas. I'm like, what the heck? I do not live in Texas. She does. Something about this is just like, I don't know. Okay, glad you had your experience. Can we go on?
Well, we went into that class like looking for different information, I think, and
Right.
it felt like it became this dental cavitation like
Yes. Like she even had
class.
a dental, maybe a dentist one. I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it was probably one of ours. Like it was probably really great.
Oh,
I
well,
feel a
okay.
little
Here
bad.
we are. We got super triggered, I guess, and couldn't deal with it. So moving along. No. And I had just before that gotten the mercury taken out of my mouth because I
Mm.
was like, oh, somebody, you need, and I thought that was going to be like big.
Hmm.
Mm, I think some hair started to grow in, more hair on my head, very thin hair. And I mean, that kind of seemed to be it. We're going along, and then I get to 2023, late 2023. My, well, and I always kind of had some lump here. My
Mm.
therapist was always like, oh, in the face. Okay.
Where in your jaw for the listeners who can't see you?
Oh, sorry. It was actually below my ear and my neck. I had a
Okay.
lump. And sorry. Oh, yeah. And so then it got to the point when I couldn't even close my jaw to chew all the way. I was
Yeah,
like,
I had that happen.
what the? Like, I work for the chiropractor. So I'm there that morning. I'm like, sir, we got a problem. Gloves up, sticks his finger. Oh, your muscles are tight, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, that didn't fix it. Like momentarily, I might say. So
Hmm.
I go to the dentist. Oh, yeah, maybe shouldn't let him grind. I did have some cranial sacral, which don't ever let anybody grind your teeth down unless you do some other work first. But oh, no, it's this tooth. It's, too pointy. Let me grind it a little bit and go chew some gum. I'm like, okay, if you say, no, that really helps. Okay. No, I
Was this a
didn't do.
regular dentist?
This is my old guy.
He did that?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
how
says, oh,
unfortunate.
yeah, it's just you need to exercise, draw some BS. I'm like, okay, sir.
Mm.
I mean, he didn't even charge me. How can I complain? Like, all right.
I mean,
Best from his perspective,
yeah.
and I'm going, oh my gosh, no people, and it would hurt. I could close. So we get to, and I'm thinking, ugh, I have to go to Texas. Like, how do I contact these people? Oh my God, this seems daunting. Little less daunting than it did a couple of years ago or whatever, but okay. Well, we're getting to the holidays, and okay, we're busy. You guys are probably visiting. I think I get through Christmas. And I was like, I really think I should maybe contact the people, see what I have to do. But I wasn't doing it. I start getting woken up at like, what is it? Between 3 and 4, I think it was, every
Yeah,
night.
it sounds right.
And I don't wake up during the night. Like I'm the mom with the baby monitor when she was a baby. Okay. There's stories. But anyways, I was woken up and then she says, somebody's trying to give you a message. I'm like, oh, gee. Oh, I've been thinking about this. Let me contact the dentist in Marble Falls, Texas. Okay. I contact them. And they're very nice. It was not scary at all. I must say, I was a little bit fear. And they're super nice and sent me the paperwork. That night and forevermore, I did not get woken up. So the message was, you need to contact the people. It's like once I started the process, it was like already almost like the healing started. It was the craziest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So, and then I had to, because I don't live there, I had to like go get this cone beam scan. Oh, they want these other 2D x-rays. My guy didn't do it. And like, oh, we have this endodontist we partner with. Don't, oh, because in Arizona, I had talked to an old guy dentist about this. He's like, no, I can't talk to you about it. Like, what? Like, you're going to get arrested? No, the board here doesn't recognize it. I can't even talk to you about this cavitation. Not that he used to tell me about people who get dentures and they take the teeth out, and he called it pea soup would ooze out, which is
Uh,
like the bacteria. So he
oh,
did not doubt that there was something there, but he's like, no, I can't even, he wouldn't even look, wouldn't even put the x-ray. No, we can't even. I was like, oh, she's okay. So I called, talked to his assistant. She's like, knew what I wanted. Go to this endodontist. Just tell him you're a patient of ours. You need these x-rays. Don't tell them what you're really doing, she says. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I call and they're like, oh, you can come in today. I'm like, well, that was kind of spiffy fast. Like, really? Snowing in Tucson, but here I go across town. Go in. Oh, we're going to do cone beam scan too. Well, I don't really need that, but all right, whatever. Just give me my darn x-rays. They get done. Oh, do you want a radiologist to read it? No, actually, I'm good. Thank you. Just give me the x-rays. Get me out of here. I did not tell him what I was doing. I didn't say a word. I kept my mouth shut and got in, got out. They even called the dentist's office. Oh, do you need a copy of these? She's like, oh, no, we're good.
she knew.
Yeah, she knew. They were great. So I sent my stuff off, all my other paperwork, I fill it in. And then we're out in Texas anyways for your birthday. And we're up in Austin. I go and, hey, I'm here. Do you need to see me? Because I'm here. I haven't heard from you. Oh, yeah, come in. Let's do another cone beam scan. We need to confirm stuff. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You've got two. Now, my pain was all down in the bottom. I was convinced it was the bottom ones. And those were the bigger ones when I had my wisdom teeth out. They're like, oh, no, they're the top ones. I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. And like, we're driving across Florida. I call them, yeah, you want to come next week? I'm like, oh, to have this procedure done, really? Well, all right, sure. I guess I can get a flight there in a week. That's no problem. Yep, this works. And like things just, once I started the process, it was like boom, 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 like from
Yeah.
January to the middle of March.
It moved fast. I remember it was
It
just
was
like you had
like,
decided, you called, and it was just like every week, like something kept
yeah,
going.
it was just so we go, okay, we drive up and I had read, I don't know, something about conscious sedation. Actually, in the dentist, because he wasn't there when I went the first time, I'd never met the guy. So I'm like hooked up, draped up, hey, and he
Were
comes in my
you
meeting.
nervous? I don't remember.
Oh yeah. I was like, you know.
But you
He
didn't have like the convulsions that I
no, I
had
did not
like
have no,
in
because
there.
the girl, her little acupressure, remember she was shaking me?
Oh, you had her in the beginning.
So
There's two people that do acupressure that like, okay, they're all very nice, very lovely, but they call it acupressure, and there are two people that do it, and it is not the same thing. It is very different. I had her the
yes.
second day, and I remembered laying there going, "Oh my God, this is what she said." Lady,
It was hilarious.
like
I'm
shaking you.
Yes, she was shaking me. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is going to loosen me up. I don't
Maybe
know.
I needed the shaking because my body was like,
You needed it later. I didn't know. I didn't ask a lot of questions. At that point, I was just like, this just needs to happen. And I don't know why. So, and then they had said conscious sedation. So in my head, that means, oh, you just go sleep. So I meet the guy and and they ask, oh, can we pray over you? And I'm like, oh, please do. And that's the last thing I remember. And at one point during the procedure, I had what I call my awakening. I kind of come to a little bit and I hear a drill. I'm thinking, well, who's drilling? Nobody mentioned drilling. And I could feel the pressure. The heck are they doing? I don't even care. Out I go. Like, that's all I remember.
Didn't you say something recently about like your expectation of something like creates your reality
Well,
even
that's what
in
I've
that?
kind of determined because you had a whole different, you heard them. And I'm like, oh no, I just assumed I was going to be asleep. So indeed I was
Yeah, I
asleep.
was sitting there like, okay, what am I gonna hear? Like, what's gonna happen? And I'm
Oh,
trying to like
weren't you waiting to
stay
fall
awake.
asleep?
What?
Weren't you waiting to fall asleep? Because I
Yeah,
said
I
I
was like,
did.
yeah, I was like waiting, like, what's gonna happen? I'm like trying to sit there, and you're just like, out.
I checked out. I left. I don't know. Because when I came to, like, everything's off. I'm totally disconnected. Like, they're gone. And I'm like, where'd everybody go? What happened, guys? Are we done? Because I did. So then, yeah, then I get the other lady who's like, it's more like energy work. Oh, she was lovely. She was fun.
Oh yeah, she's a good time.
She was fun. So, anyways, it was fine after that, but it was just kind of, yeah, a little different than yours.
You did it last year around the eclipse, didn't you? It was almost a
Oh,
year
it was
ago.
it was March 25th. Yeah,
Yeah, so almost
yes,
a
there
year
was because
ago.
everybody was doing all their things, for the it was no, it
Yeah, for
wasn't
the
that eclipse. It was something. No, because remember that big
I thought it
eclipse was
was.
coming in April. No.
Yeah, but it was another one because there was two.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was the first
So it
one.
was the first one.
Yes, it was during the first
It's
one.
like when people tell you like don't have surgeries and like don't do shit like that. I mean, you turned
Tis
out
true.
fine.
That's true. They
I
did
don't remember
say
if it was full or new moon, but it was an eclipse. I could
it
go back
wasn't
and
that big solar one that they did have in that area the next month.
yeah, right. It was
Like
not
that,
that.
I was in the area of the full solar eclipse.
Yeah, but like 2 weeks early.
uh, More than that, but yeah, a little bit early. But anyways, it was
Mm.
just, I don't know, very interesting. So
So, okay, it's been a year since then. Now, obviously, it's not like you just like did the surgery and just like went home and like did nothing afterwards. Obviously, that's like not who you are.
true.
You've also done energy certification. Like you've done
Yeah.
all kinds. That's just like one of the many things.
Yeah.
So let's also like caveat this with like there's always other things like impacting your body, your life. But from that procedure, is there anything that you have noticed that has improved, healed, just,
Well, yeah, I
resulted from that?
no pain at all in my jaw, like none.
Mm.
I can turn my head. I couldn't turn I think my lymphatic system was so backed up. I didn't realize I wasn't turning my head to your dad one time we were out riding a bike. He goes, why aren't you turning your head? I go, what do you mean? He goes, you turn your whole body when you look left and right. I'm like,
I
okay.
forgot about that.
Yeah. I was like, huh. Well, I'd probably been doing it for years, didn't realize I couldn't turn my head. It was so jammed up.
Yeah, that's
And then
crazy.
remember I had gotten probably about the time I was thinking of calling them some crazy pain on the right side of my back. I was doing breath work and I couldn't even lay down.
Oh my God. Yeah. At breathwork training, you were like laying on boards trying to do breath work and you were like not really breathing, like super tight. You were like, I'm just here. Like, I don't know.
I tried to have my legs up and I pulled them down. I was like, okay, well, I did that so my back wouldn't tighten up on these boards, but never mind. I guess I'll lay flat. Because my back, when I would do deep breathing, would seize. Like
Oh,
when I say
geez.
seize, I mean, and then I couldn't even move, talk, breathing. No, I don't have any. That was weird. I don't have any of that anymore. Um, Growing more hair again.
Hey, more hair is always good.
Getting more hair. It's kind of my thing. I'm like, well, it's so fine. I need all I can get. With your help, and I did some parasite cleanses. I did pass that parasite.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about
You
that.
forgot. How do you forget
I
this?
don't know. Like it somehow keeps leaving my brain and it's like,
Lucky
well, I
you.
mean, you
I
experienced
have the
like
visual. Thanks,
the
guys.
pulling out of the
It's like to see it, this thing. I mean,
people talk about this all the time. And then she
oh
calls me. She's like, oh my God.
my God, I had to pull this thing out of me. And it was covered in, I knew it. I was like, oh my God, this
That's
is
a
the end.
success.
It was, yeah, she's like, oh, we had success. I'm like, ah.
I'm like,
I mean, I had done other parasite cleanses and nothing right. And then this thing happened. I was like, oh my gosh.
woohoo.
Whew. That was an experience and a half. Like whatever. It was just ugh. It was
Better out than in.
Yeah. And then I tell my naturopath, he goes, "Oh, if you have one, you have more."
Oh
I'm like,
God.
shut up. No, stop.
Thank you, sir.
He goes, "I won't even test you because you passed one. So
I
you
mean,
have,
okay, that's like you're a living, breathing human and you
I
have
know,
them. So,
but excess is kind of
oh,
where we're at. That would be excessive. And it was like over a foot long sort of thing. Best I could figure out. I was like, oh, geez.
you're lucky she's not the person that like takes photos and digs
Oh,
with
yeah, no.
chopsticks because those
No.
people exist out
Yeah.
there.
I looked, I was like, oh, huh. I think that is what that is. I was in denial, thinking it was something else, but I like, I ain't eating anything that looks like this. So I don't know how it could be something I ate. And I don't think my food like joined together into a string. Like, no, I mean, I tried. I tried to explain it to be
That's like when
something.
I was trying to explain off liver flukes because they can look
Right.
like little
You said tomato skin.
tomato like peelings. And I'm like, I don't think I ate a lot of tomatoes, but that's kind of like the tomato skins. Like that's what it can look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. I was
So
like, yeah. Well, and when I took a closer look, I'm like, it was covered in black stuff. I'm like, that's the binders I was taking.
yeah,
Like, no wonder I had to take so many darn binders. This is a big old thing, and it was covered.
needed a lot of work to get out.
Anyhow,
If you're disgusted by this conversation, you're going to be disgusted by most conversations I have here.
yeah.
So I'm
Well,
sorry, there is
anyways, what else?
no
Oh,
TMI.
I did know. I had noticed. It took a while. My muscles have become more flexible. I'm not as stiff.
Oh yeah.
Remember, I told you I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I could stretch further now. So it's like, and my lymphatic therapist, she is. I mean, I will say right after surgery, like well, a week or two, I went to her and oh dear, the stuff kept coming out. Depending on how backed up you weren't so backed up, but I was. And talk about her. Oh my gosh, I went one day to her and then went to drove up to Phoenix to a naturopath and they're like, what happened to you? And I'm like, I had 2 hours of lymphatic massage. I'm like, oh, well, okay, that explains. I mean, I was like, it was my first appointment after my surgery. I wanted him to test me, see if I still had the 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 toxins in me, and they couldn't do anything with me. I was so bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
seeing from her trying to push toxins out. Like my body just freaked out. So, and it would,
There is a limit.
yeah, I find it. And so I, in particular, had to have a lot of lymphatic drainage. There was one time I think she spent just 2 hours on my head.
I believe it because all of a sudden I'm having like a lot of
Oh,
lymphatic, and it's all kind of like sitting in my head.
yeah.
And I feel like just now, like I'm just now
Oh,
getting to this, like after
oh,
my surgery, but it's probably always been there. It's just never been so prevalent. So I
right.
believe the 2 hours
Yeah,
on your head.
she was like, I'd go. There was one time she's like, it's like cement. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
okay. I'm like, that's not nice, but whatever. It was in my cheek.
Thanks.
She's it took like her working 10 minutes in one area just to get it to start moving.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was so she goes, you gotta come back. I'll make room for you. And I'm like, okay, I'll come back. And I'm like, I don't know if I can, but okay. It was I had to have like 12 hours of lymphatic drainage very soon
Spread
after.
out, not together.
Not too spread out actually within
Oh,
yeah. No, it was bad.
well,
She
it's not
got
like it
all
was
worried.
12 hours on the table.
No, but within like 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot.
It was a lot. Like I was no, I had to she was freaking out. Well, Andrea, she's Jem, but she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, no, no," and but then she always says it's so satisfying working on you because there's so much to do. And now
Thanks.
though things move, I'm not so backed up. I mean, I'll get things here and there, but it's not anything like it used to be. Like I'd go in every week and she'd sit down, she'd look at me, oh, I'm like, don't do that. So we don't have quite that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I have noticed like I mean you'd always do things that would move the needle, but it would be like just a little bit or kind of
Mhm.
like move and then come back and then move and come
Yeah,
back. Like I feel like this is one of those things that finally
definitely.
was like a massive needle mover and it's like kept you going, not having to
Right.
like backtrack a bunch.
Right. I don't feel like I'm still playing whack-a-mole
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
symptoms.
It's like
Because
the actual route we got to.
right. And so I sing okay, like the person who said, no, I said,
Now
I
we're the annoying
liken
people.
this. if you have all these problems, start in your mouth.
Hmm.
Just start in your mouth. I said it's like my new theory. If you ever move into a house, if I ever move, well, I probably will someday. I'm not moving in till I put closet systems in because I can't stand my closet not being organized. I refuse. End of discussion. The closet systems, I will build my closet system, put it in before I move one thing in the house.
What are you, a Virgo rising?
Yes.
Just so everyone understands this like
Okay, whatever.
logic.
And then the Taurus sun, it's got to be nice. It got to look
Yeah.
nice.
Okay. See, this all makes sense.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you're, trust me, I'm old, older than probably all of you. And I have been, I didn't just start this stuff. Like, how old is your brother? 29?
Hmm.
So it's probably 24 years ago or more. So for 24 years, I've been working on stuff. This
Wow.
is not like I started this a couple years ago. 24 years I've been working on stuff. So
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
a,
I just found out recently, like the statistic of 46% of inflammation starts in your mouth.
I would believe it.
So, or 46% of inflammation is in your mouth. So start there.
I no,
That's,
well, so I would, so when I got, the mercury out, the dentist was like telling me about all these miraculous healings these people had. And I'm like, I did not
mm,
get that. And then I'd be like afraid to eat nightshades before I went to the dentist because my mouth would be inflamed. He's like, well, you're not healing. And we go, I had a tomato. It's tomato sauce. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have that. It inflames me. And he's like, huh? And this is before the surgery. And I was like, yeah, I mean, if I eat certain things, my mouth, you're right, the inflammation. And he can't figure out, well, why are you not He goes, you're healing, but not completely, just from taking
right.
out the mercury. Well, there was all this bacteria, and I got the report back, and the size, and they were huge, and okay. But yeah, I mean, even with this last little round of things I did, and I had that huge detox, my mouth, that's how I knew something was going. I was like, oh,
Mm,
super inflamed. Like, I was like, I feel it's painful to brush my teeth.
yeah.
And then the rest came forward. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, and I mean, I know you still obviously avoid certain foods for certain reasons because obviously there's like still a
Oh,
layer of
yes.
stress that can be happening with certain foods. But the excessive like blaming of certain foods,
Right.
I think so many people are still doing. Like, I would watch you be like, "Oh my God, I ate a tomato, like God
Yeah.
forbid, like now it's
Yeah.
just gonna make my gums hurt for the next 24, 48 hours." And it's like, well, yeah, that's why that happened, but like what's the underlying root of it? So if you're just still saying, "Oh, this makes me inflamed or this irritates this," like sure that's actually what you're experiencing. Maybe that food is a contributor, but it's like can we get away from like blaming the foods for the entire reason that this is
Well,
happening?
so like if what it does, it almost just makes your inflammation worse because I had
Hmm.
the thermal imaging.
Yeah.
That was all red.
Oh yeah. You're like,
I
where
was
do you start? All of me?
I was like, I'm all red. Like, what the hell? I'm sorry, but I'm like, what the heck? And it wasn't like I had eaten a bunch of, I was like, no. So again, that was before the surgery. I haven't gotten one
Yeah.
since, but I was like, I'm a solid red person.
Yeah.
So just eating something, then it just magnifies that.
Right.
Probably, I think if you're got so much inflammation like I did, you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, because of that, you don't know that there is a different
Mhm.
feeling than just being constantly inflamed. Like you, at some
Mhm.
point, just kind of live with that feeling to
Right.
whatever extent. It's like
Hmm.
I had a conversation with someone earlier today. It was like what people just kind of assume is common but not normal. They don't
Oh,
even
right.
know that there is a better of
Mhm.
whatever you're
Right.
feeling. Like you don't even realize that you could feel better. You're like, I don't know, this is just how I feel. And then, top it off with everyone else in society like feeling half-ass miserable
Yeah.
all day and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's commiserate on our symptoms today. How do you feel?" "Oh, I don't feel well. I didn't sleep well." Like that's like the common talk
Mhm.
I hear all the time. "Oh
Really.
yeah, I didn't well, amongst some communities. Depends
I'll
on
talk
where
to
you're
those people.
at."
Well, and I'm here to tell you, I see all these commercials for the hair stuff. Again, like I still have, I mean, not like my hair's any great, but for me, it is. Like I have patches of hair, and like when I dry my hair, I got these little hairs that stick up like all these different
Hmm.
lengths, and it's crazy. It's still growing in. Like I can rub my scalp, and I know when a patch, and it comes in patches because I feel stubble.
Oh, that's
And
so
it like it.
interesting.
So my dad back in the day when they had flat tops, and I would brush the top of his head.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do that with Jared's the back of his head when he gets it cut.
Okay, so you know that's
Yeah.
the feeling. I'll rub my scalp. I'm like, oh, got new crop coming in. So
Yeah, so those hair products are for shit.
yeah, no. So I'm telling you, without putting anything on my scalp or whatever, I've had tons of hair growth, like tons.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like a lot. And that's funny whenever I tell the dentist, he's like, huh? I haven't heard that one before. And I'm like, oh, here I am.
I mean, obviously, yeah, like the toxins have been removed because that's ultimately like what's driving the inflammation is this over toxicity. Yes,
Right.
physically, and then it can go into energetic, emotional things. But in this case, physically, you remove it, you take it out of your body, and now you actually allow your body to operate how it was supposed to. And it's like, oh wow, instead of now trying to get these toxins out that we've been trying to do for decades, hey, we can actually put energy towards like hair growth, like which is like sort of extra these days.
Yeah. And my nails are better. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I don't know. Like, yeah, I've done some other things too, but it's like, ooh. I mean, and did it take some work? I mean, it wasn't like, yes, it got the source of it out, but I
Right.
still had to work on getting it out all the places of my
Right.
body, which
Right.
I think I might still be working on.
To an extent, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, they were there for 40 years. So
That's a long time,
it is a long time to be harboring some fugitives.
right? Longer in than out. Like, that's a long time. Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's super interesting that I mean, because you've learned, because I want to transition to energy work as well. And you've learned and you've done energy work, Reiki, when you were younger.
Hmm.
So it's not like this is new, but I find it super interesting that you ended up doing this as something that was after, you cleared your physical vessel because this is always something that, you've been working on your physical body for a while. And it's like, this is finally something that like started to really clear it out. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden is when it propels you into more energy work
Right.
training,
Hmm.
which I thought was just like, when you like take a step back and realize
Right.
that. And so there is like some things that I want to go to in that. But even before, there was something that we were talking about, and I have like a few notes only because we like we'll talk on the phone, say random shit, and then say like, oh, we should talk about this on the podcast. And like this was 2 months ago. So I just made random notes. But so before you started doing this energy work and before all of this happened, you did used to, like you mentioned it earlier, you did used to work at a doctor's office.
Uh-huh.
But this was because you were like looking for
Oh,
something to do years ago. And the funny part was because you left a year or so ago, year and a half now. I forget when it was.
just a little over a year.
Okay, so just over a year. But it was funny because when you left, and we were talking about this a couple months ago, when you were originally looking for a job, you were just like, hey, I'm like bored. I think both of us were gone out of the house. You just like wanted
Yes.
something to do. And you had told them that you wanted to go work at Lucky.
Oh, so I was at a chiropractic appointment, and you just chat and I told him, oh yeah, like I had gotten to be friends with the manager at Lucky, Evan.
Hmm.
I said, okay. And I told, and I actually talked to them enough. I knew the discount is 70% for employees.
That's
I was
good.
like, oh, just need something part time to do. I love their stuff. I'm going to work at Lucky. So I was telling him, oh, yeah, I'm going to give him my resume and I'm going to go work at Lucky. He's like, really? He goes, you're looking for something to do? I go, yeah, the kids are gone. Your dad, he was always traveling, he was a pilot. So I said, I need something to do. I can only clean so much. It's like just cleaning all day, every day, just is not doing it for me.
You're telling the chiropractor this.
Yeah. And so that afternoon, I went with my friend. We would go on Fridays and go shop and eat lunch and stuff. I get a call from his wife. I mean, and I knew her because I was like, hello, why are you calling me? Well, I hear you're looking for a job. I'm like, what? Because he doesn't say anything.
He's just like,
It's,
oh, okay.
he just listens to me talk. And she goes, I hear you're looking for a job. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I didn't talk to you. Who are you talking to? What's going on? I didn't realize that I knew there because I used to go see her too. And yes, I knew they had a new person, but I knew there was some squirrely stuff going on. I didn't know what. I didn't ask. Yeah, we're looking to actually get rid of the person that's working for me. I'm like, oh, what, really? She's nice, but I guess she wasn't showing up for work, which is why
Oh, that's
sometimes
a
nobody.
problem.
Well, that's why when you call, sometimes nobody would answer the phone. So
Oh,
I was like, yeah, I'd be like, where is everybody? And so I was like, well, yeah. She goes, oh, well, we're looking for someone. I'm like, oh, you are? Oh, that's kind of weird. This is Friday afternoon. She goes, well, why don't you come in on Monday and talk to us? I like to do a little interview. I'm like, and now I have known them for because we start going there and your brother was 5. He's
oh
in
wow.
college now. So
Yeah, at that time.
it was like I mean, so I knew them. I knew their son. I mean, we knew them. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I dress up a little bit. I go in. I didn't eat lunch. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is gonna go quick because I knew what time their office hours started. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll talk to him and then I'm gonna go get lunch. And they're like, okay. Da 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 da. And then he goes, I'll let Heather talk to you. And he left because he had to get going. And she's like, okay, well, can you just can you start training now? I was like, start training now? Like, ma'am, what's going on? They had fired the person. And I was like, you fired her? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I guess I said, can I go eat lunch? You know, I'm like kind of hungry. So I just like zip, like jump in. And I knew the other woman who was their other receptionist. I knew her very well. She'd been there since we had been going from the dawn
Mm-hmm.
of time. So we knew each other. And
Mm-hmm.
it was not, I was like, okay. So I mean, I just like fall into this thing. I call you, hey, I got a job, you know,
I remember I was like, today?
today, yes,
Talk
today.
about manifesting like what you're looking for. Literally, like, hey, I'm looking for a job on Friday and Monday, you're starting.
And it was part time.
Like exactly what you wanted.
Yes, exactly what I wanted. Part time. And, you know, I knew the people, so I was comfortable. Like, finally a boss, I was like, oh, well, the
Yeah,
docs. I knew her practice, which was, kind of it's not your mainstream stuff
right.
because she does muscle test. Well, she did. She's not working anymore. She did muscle testing and stuff. It was just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she didn't have to explain it to me, but and her and I just, I mean, obviously we knew we got along, but once I started working for her, oh my gosh, we just really got along. And it took her a
Yeah.
little while to kind of like trust me, and then I really took over. Okay, this is how it's going. And I did enjoy talking to the patients until I started feeling their stuff. But anyways,
Oh, there's a lesson in that. But the
but
funny
then,
part, what?
but
Oh,
the part is,
yeah.
so I worked there like 8 years.
Yeah.
And your dad's getting ready to retire. And I'm like, okay, I can't. And I kept telling them, they're a little bit older than me. I'm like, you guys need to be done working. This is, well, they couldn't pull the plug. And I had told them a year prior, end of next year, I'm done. Because he was going to retire in like May the next year. And I said, I want to prepare, for this event. Oh,
Mm.
stupid me.
Haha.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the universe laughed at that one. I got slapped. But anyways, and so I leave at the end of 2024. 23,
Oh,
23.
23.
And a couple of months later, your dad and I were at that mall where Lucky was. And we happened to go, we're hungry. Let's go in this place and get something to eat. We walk in, it's around about 5 o'clock, and I see my buddy, Evan, and one of his workers sitting at the bar. It's 5 o'clock. I'm like,
Right.
what the heck are you two doing here? He goes, don't you know? I go, no. He said, they didn't renew our lease. They kicked us out. I was like, what? So if I had gone to work at Lucky, the job would have ended at the same time my other job ended up. Because then the
Mhm.
docs did retire in a couple months. Like both jobs ended at the same time. Like I would not have worked any longer no matter which one I had chosen.
That was so crazy. I remember when you told me that, and I just had like we were talking about it, and I was like, "Do you realize like your job, your working days, like would have been the exact same time, no matter
No
what?" Like
matter. It
it
was
was
just
just
kind of
kind of like, "Oh, which version does your human want to choose? Like
right
which
when that's the
experience?"
free will choice thing. Well, I
Yeah,
did. And I was like, well, okay, I'll go over here. Because if I really didn't want to work at their office, I wouldn't have. I would be like, oh no, thank
right.
you. But I was
Yeah,
like, oh sure, I'll do that.
that
So
is so crazy.
it was crazy how it was like, oh, so hindsight, I mean, this took 8 years to get this
Right. So
information.
that's why, we happen to have this
We have
really
the,
incredible story of like the 8 year span.
yes,
But sometimes, like, when you're at the beginning of it, you would have never known. Like, it seemed like maybe not a huge decision, but it still seemed like two very different paths.
Right. So always pick what you really want. Don't worry about down the road, I get, just pick
Right.
what you
Like you're
really
still
want to
going to
do.
end up where you're meant to be. There's
Mm-hmm.
just going to be different human experience. So you're going to obviously have different lessons. Like you're going to
Right.
interact with different people. It's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same. But if you look, it's like those paths kind of like paralleled and then just like
Mm-hmm.
came together at the same
Yeah.
point.
It was kind of crazy.
That was wild. I remember when we were talking about that and I was like, I have no words for that. That was crazy.
See?
So, I probably need that lesson as well, just to like ingrain it in my brain. Like, time
Like
isn't real,
time
chill
is it?
out. But at the time, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
So, one of the other things that you and I were talking about, and we can thank Dad for this one,
Oh,
at least
okay.
for like the initial. But I think I've had some people say this as well. When we were talking about energy work, and you were talking about like giving intuitive sessions or leading intuitive sessions for people, there are a lot of people that are maybe fearful of receiving a session, especially if they know that if they hear you're going to read them, read their energy body, however you communicate
Mm-hmm.
it. And the fear that I've heard it from a few people as well. And we both actually kind of had this thought before we started learning how to do this, is the fear of someone reading your mind or getting access to information that you'd actually like don't want them to know or you would like to keep private or hide. And that we really felt like one, that there's a different awareness that you have once you learn this
Mm-hmm.
information, like once you learn how to actually do it. Like there's the person on the receiving end if you have no idea what's going on, and then as you are learning and you're actually giving, what's really happening. So I want you to kind of explain how you see it, how you used to see it previously, and then how you experience it now, maybe to people who are fearful of receiving an intuitive session for that reason.
Okay. So yeah, again, your brother was like 2 or 3. We, I, he's the gift.
Oh,
You are
that's an
too.
understatement.
He repelled. Well,
I'm gonna
actually,
get him
so
on here one day. Jared was like,
oh,
I can't wait till he comes on.
uh,
You're
well,
all
all
in
right.
for, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't even know
You
what to
might have
say.
to have a mute button. Um, I started taking this guy for Reiki, and I would get Reiki sessions, and sometimes this guy would say stuff to me. I'm like, how the heck did you know that? I mean, nothing too deep, but I was like, what else are you like?
Mm.
What else do you know? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I want to come back. Well, I mean,
Validation is like good, but like you're saying,
right.
sometimes like, wait, how did you know that?
How did you know that? And what I have finally, and back then I just didn't know. And I'm like, whoo. And unfortunately, well, I will say this, this is not most healers. He got a little weird.
That's possible for people. I
Yeah,
mean, if you get a weird vibe, there's a weird vibe for a reason. Listen to it.
he got a little weird. And then I thought, well, if he was really reading all my mind, he would know I think this is weird.
Oh, okay.
Like he would know I'm uncomfortable.
I feel like you should just know that based off body language. That means you're the creep.
Well, creeps don't know they're creepy. But anyways, they don't see themselves that way.
That's the problem.
Exactly. So I mean, no, I didn't want to keep going anyways, but then I realized, well, he didn't pick up on that.
Mm.
So you're not getting everything. But I did have times when during the times when I did go see him, I kind of went, what was going on here? How'd you know that? And then I'm like, no, I having these thoughts. I don't want to go. He's going to know. He's going to say that. And so I did have that fear.
Mm. Hmm.
Now being on the other side, what I will say when I'm doing a session, I'm not some psychic, whatever. I'm not like trying to read your mind, like for
Right.
thoughts.
Right.
Especially me. I'm picking up on blocked energy,
Hmm.
uh, like the feelings I'll get, or cords, or you're hiding, or whatever. And I liken it to because sometimes what I see, feel, whatever. It's hard to put into words,
Oh, every
right?
time. It's like,
So,
can you just see what's in my head? That'd be great.
right. It's and this I think I said to you, it's like when you wake up from a dream and you're like, what the heck was that? And you're like, oh, you're supposed to record your dreams. I'm like, I don't even have the words for what I just
Like,
saw.
how do you start?
Yeah, how do you even start? Like, no, yeah, and you try to start articulating it. I think I've even tried to tell you some dreams. You're probably like, what the heck? You're like,
Yeah.
are you drunk? No,
No, I've tried to tell Jared before and I'm like, it's not coming out right.
it's
Like,
not coming
never
out right. Like, no,
mind.
you would have had to have seen it, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, because there's
So,
a feeling
yeah,
too.
that's feeling. So that's more when I'm doing a session. It's more of a feeling where you need help,
Hmm.
where things are stuck, or like I said, a heavy feeling, or this, or certain kinds of chords. Like I do chords, things that are like, okay, somebody, it was literally, I saw like prongs plugged in everywhere, like,
Mm,
electrical cords. I'm like, whoa, whoa, need to unplug that.
right.
So it's that kind of stuff. I am not trying to get into your deepest inner thoughts. I mean, and even though I may trip up on something that's deep, it's more like a feeling I'll mention. Like
Hmm.
oh, I feel a heaviness, or I feel something is what I'll usually is what I say because that's what I'm getting. And it's not
Well,
as
and
specific.
you're going in with an intention, right? So like you're
Yes.
obviously having an intention of addressing something, healing
Yeah,
something,
and
clearing
because I
something.
always ask, what is your intention for this session? From there, that's when I'll be directed around the person's body and stuff. I'm not going in to try and read what you think of your husband or something, and what you think of your kids or your neighbor, that is not going to come out.
Yeah.
Unless, like I say, ooh, I feel this heaviness, or there's this, it's the feeling. I don't know what it's directed towards.
Hmm.
And when you say to the person, well, you know what it's for. Well, okay, you can figure, like I'm more like kind of like this is coming up. This is where things were stuck. I have to move, and this is maybe somewhere you need to look,
Right.
kind of thing. I am not trying to read your deep dark secrets, and I
Right.
don't read your deep dark secrets. That's
Right.
not what an intuitive energy session is. I'm not going after, but I will say I have a very very good friend, and you know, and I have been hesitant to do
Hmm.
anything on her because then if something else happens in her life, oh, it's because you did this thing. But
Right.
I will say, she just went through a somewhat traumatic experience recently,
Hmm.
and I just saw her, and she's like, she articulated, I feel like my soul needs to be filled up
Oh, wow.
from the event, and I said, okay. So she said that to me, and I said, "You feel like you need to receive something." She said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, do you want to do a session with me?" Like that's and she's like, "Yes, yes." Like before she was
Oh,
super
wow.
resistant,
Yeah.
and I never pushed it. I was like,
Hmm.
"No, I'm not," because if somebody's and that's the other thing, if you're a healer, never push anybody. Ever, ever, ever.
Right.
If they want it, they'll seek you out and you'll get it. So she knew what I did. And obviously this is not new that she knew, but all of a sudden this event has she's like, I feel like I need whatever you can give. And I'm like, okay,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
And I
So
think that's the first time she's ever come to you. It's not like she
right.
knows what you do. And I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah,
you've had
exactly.
like some pretty good boundaries because I know that like you've done practice sessions and stuff and wanted to offer it to her, but like you definitely were getting the feeling of like what you were saying. This wasn't going to be helpful. Also, like she wasn't the person that was coming to you. And I kind of think she needed to be that
Yeah,
person.
yeah. Well, I think everybody does. And I respected, I knew, and kind of the traumatic thing was somewhat long drawn out and got real traumatic just at the end here. It gets,
Mm,
she lost her sister, is what it is, her younger sister. And there was an illness for about a year or so. Anyways, um, it was just, she was too vulnerable, sensitive, whatever. So if you
yeah.
come upon that as the healer, you can't, and I did not force myself on her. I offered once and I'm like, no, this isn't right. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Um, And I even have that, I think because she specifically mentioned her soul, I have that soul retrieval with the stones I
Oh,
do
yeah.
that
Mm,
I'm going to also do with her because I put
mm.
rocks. Yeah, if you come to my house, you'll put rocks on you,
It's a good
which
time.
which is so funny. Um, some people are okay with the rocks, and then some people no rocks.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But give me all the rocks.
Yeah, no, I have some people love the rocks, and I'm no, don't you put those rocks on me? Like, well, this is so. So I can respect those boundaries. If you don't want the rocks, well, they're in the room. I can't take them out. I'm not taking them out for you. They're here already, but I won't put them on you. I think I put the one person one I put them around, and that
Oh.
was okay, but not on.
Well, didn't you try to like put them in between people's toes? I
Well, I did that to somebody.
think
I
you did
did
it
do
to
that.
me and Jared. Well, most people.
Most people, a lot of people, I put them in between the toes. I do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. Anyhow, but again, if someone says, no, I don't want those on me, well, I'm not
Yeah.
going to put them on. So you've
Right.
got to respect
Oh, yeah.
people's boundaries. And like this friend, I've known her for 20 some years. It's not a new friendship. And
Hmm.
she's the one I was shopping with that time when I got the call. So she was my Friday lunch buddy. Um, so like I know her. And yeah, I had not done it, but when she said her soul felt empty from her experiences, said, I just said, would you like a session? She said, oh my gosh, yes. It was like,
Wow.
so it was like a 180 flip. So I guess if you have somebody, maybe just be patient. They might come your way eventually.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
just have to go, okay, not now. Well, even, all right, I have another one of those. And you know who I'm going to say.
I have so many potential ideas in my
No, 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 no.
head.
I mean,
Oh,
somebody in
I
my
think
house.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I okay, doing the energy work, and I needed my practice clients, right?
Hmm.
Had sort of said yes, but wasn't really on board. Let us just say that was obliging, yes, but really wasn't making it available.
Right.
We were on vacation in the Blue Ridge Mountains,
Mm.
and this person, well, my husband was
Surprise.
was having all this leg pain, like
Hmm.
out of the blue. Well, and here's where I intervene. If you're interrupting my sleep, I'm sorry. I'm not going to put up, like, I couldn't even sleep because he couldn't be, I was like, I'm exhausted. So we're at the rental place in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I'm like, we're done. We couldn't figure out why he had this leg pain. It was
Hmm.
random. You were there.
Yeah, and
He,
I think I even said I was like, no, he like I think I was muscle testing or something because I was muscle testing him for like supplements too that
right.
I had. It was like extra stuff. And then I
We
think I
pulled
got to a
everything
point,
out.
oh, we had literally everything. I was like, I got nothing else. And I think I tested, I was like, no, like he wants like what you have. He wants your stuff.
So desperate. He's in so much pain. So this is somebody who has resisted doing this. He's like, fine. I said, just lay down. That's all I need you to do. Can you lay still? I know that's hard for you. And I start working on him. He falls asleep. I was like, "Oh, fine, whatever. I work on him. I'm like, I do my thing. He's asleep. I'm like, well, at least he's asleep. That's progress because we hadn't slept for like a couple nights. I was like, oh my God, I was exhausted. Covered him. I go to bed. He gets up the next morning. Pain is gone. It was
Yeah,
crazy. And that was in November. Has never returned.
that's wild.
And I said to him, so he's one of those, he's what oh, you haven't listened to the podcast. They call
Mm-mm.
materialist. So you have to see
On
to
the
believe.
telepathy tapes.
Yeah, the telepathy tapes. They talk
Okay.
about materialism.
Okay.
He's much that you must prove, you must see. Yet the man was a pilot. And I'm like, I don't see how the airplane's getting off the ground, but all right, whatever. That takes some belief if you ask me. Though he would explain aerodynamics. Like, yeah, no, I don't think that makes sense.
Okay. Well, he believes in airplanes. You believe in energy work. I don't know. Like the two
So,
of you just like
anyways,
are like this.
yeah. So if he doesn't see it, he doesn't believe it.
Hmm.
Okay. That is, and I know that about him, but I was just like, I just needed to lay here. Let me do my session on you. And you say I did it. Well, then I do this and I'm like, well, then he even tries to explain away. Oh, it wasn't that.
Oh
right?
yeah, and then he tries to say, "Oh, it's the supplements," and I was like, "No, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, sure, there was some support there, but like, no, sorry, sir. I had been giving him supplements for days.
And nothing worked. And then I don't think he took another one after that.
Probably not,
Yeah, probably not. He's not
unless
good
you
at that.
handed it to him. It wasn't happening."
No. And I'm like, can you now admit maybe this stuff helped you? He's like, oh, yeah, I guess. He was
Oh
reluctant,
wow.
but I did get a very nice confirmation text from him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Which is what I required for my sessions, free ones. Need a confirmation that it is, And yeah, it was funny. But so anyhow, like, yeah, he was reluctant, but because I'm married to him, I pushed a little harder, I will admit. There's just that contract. I'm sorry. You
You
picked me.
agreed.
I always say, you picked me.
Yeah.
This is this is what you picked. Because you've
Hmm.
changed. I said, yes, I would agree.
And he hasn't.
Yeah, I know, but maybe I've changed more, but that's okay. I was younger, so whatever. He goes, you've changed. I go, okay, you're right. I have. It's not
Thank you
bad.
for noticing.
Thank you for noticing. Not that 20-year-old. At
Well,
the
that's a
bar.
good thing. I mean, yeah. So
So you
especially
can,
with
the pushing. So what I say is when so he got so desperate.
that's what happens a lot of times. The
He's like,
desperation.
please, yeah, do whatever you want. He goes, I don't care what you do to me. I could
Hmm.
have even put rocks on him, I think, that time. I didn't have them
Unfortunately,
with
we didn't
me.
have any.
I didn't bring them with me.
Darn.
Well, I brought some, but not like
Not the mother load.
no, not the bag full. Should have seen what I
It's
took to
fair.
Hawaii last time.
Oh my
Hilarious.
gosh. You should have just gone outside and got some. It
I could have.
was a little cold.
It was. But anyways, so that's what I was saying where and I don't so I guess that's part of it. Oops. I disconnect.
Did you pull yourself out?
Oh,
Yeah, you.
there we go. I'm back.
Okay.
Um yeah, you can't push people.
Mm-mm.
And his wasn't even fear, it was just non-belief because I can't
Mm.
see it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, if you can feel it though, how's that not?
Well, and so many people are looking for this like direct result. Like, I receive
Mhm.
this, then I get
Oh,
this
right.
exactly right after. And it also can sometimes be tied to an expectation of like,
Mm,
I'm expecting this to happen. So if I receive this session, I'm expecting this thing
mm,
to happen. Now, who's to say that that does or doesn't happen? Like, you're really not going to know because that's not the point of it. The point of it
right.
is to just address and receive the session and whatever is coming up. So, like, however you're doing it, whatever you're seeing like as an intuitive
Well,
reader
it
or
depends
healer.
on what they come to me for. So, like when you had your surgery,
Hmm.
you were in pain. I was specifically working on trying to reduce that.
Right.
And he specifically had pain.
Right.
And I was working on that. Then
Right. And
there's
I
other
think
sessions that are more like I was busy that weekend.
I
I
know
did,
you did so many. You're on a roll.
I did baby, I did the baby mama, I did my sister. It was like,
I know.
oh,
You did the
so
dogs. Didn't you do the
the
dog? One of the
I
dogs?
tried to do that darn Tucker, but he was running
Oh,
all over the place.
yeah.
But don't you remember? So wait, remember I realized with my sister,
Hmm.
I did a session on her, and
She's a lot. She's a lot of
she's
energy.
just got a couple toes maybe in this world, okay? And that's about it. Anyways, I had done something and like kind of took her out of a hiding place or whatever.
Hmm. So, okay, wait. I want to say this before you keep going because like you're explaining visuals and like that's how I see it
Oh,
too. Some
oh yeah,
people
sorry.
and no, and that's fine, but like I think this is like an important part to like really hit on as you're explaining this because your visuals are just like giving off the energy that you're seeing. Now, if
Right.
I was reading that same person, I may be getting a different visual. It doesn't mean that it's different. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean that one person is right or wrong. It just means that that visual or that whatever you're receiving, however you receive the messages, is going to give you the feeling or the energy that you need to know to either, if you're doing energy work, if you're giving a reading, like that's just your
Right.
way to understand like what's
That's how
going
you're
on
shown.
energetically. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just what you're shown. But so like I remember I did her session and actually her and another one, they like fell. I said, I in person, well, I can talk to you while I'm doing it or tell you everything after. Oh no, you can talk to me. Well, I start going along and they're asleep. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not gonna talk to you. You're sleeping. And then it's like at the same point right before I'm done, they wake up. I thought you were gonna talk to me. Well, you were sleeping. So I'm not talking to you. You know, we can talk now, but they didn't even know they fell asleep.
I don't
Anyways,
know how these people fall asleep with this because every single time I do energy work, I am wired and like ready to go.
well, that was during the session. I don't know.
No,
Very,
still,
I guess I'm very relaxing.
I
Anyways,
suppose I did. Well, I
well, the
don't know if
baby
I
didn't
fell
fall
asleep.
asleep. He was like, woohoo. He was actually
Maybe
really happy.
I know. I do wonder if there's like a certain resonance. Like there's got to be something for like
Oh,
the
yeah.
energy, like the resonance from the energy that they're receiving like from you
Right.
and your body's resonance or like what what you're
Well, I
resonant
was
with.
kind of, I will admit, yeah, I'm by nature more calm.
That's true.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to be like, ah, no, that's not me. Um, so in a session, is that, yeah, it's more of a very calm kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I
Even
think people do feel calm most of the time, but I mean, what when you receive any kind of energy work, even like when you do like an energy work meditation, like are you ready to go to sleep after that? Are you like wired and ready to go?
oh, I probably fall asleep during it. You know how I
And
am.
then you wake up and have energy. Great. Good.
You know, again, remember the comment earlier about sleeping? Yeah, I'm a good sleeper.
Yeah.
So if
Oh,
something's
great.
disturbing my sleep, it's serious. Like this is a problem.
That's how I knew. Someone's
Yeah,
trying to get you a message.
right. But
Success.
success, right? Oof. But oh, so my sister, I do the session on her. Then she all of a sudden decides she gets told she needs some red or black outfit for these Christmas photos. And I look at her, I'm like, oh, black. That's not gonna be good. Why do you want to wear black? And everybody else was gonna wear black. I'm like, oh, what kind of Christmas photo is this? I guess it's depressing. Who died? And so I thought, why are you gonna wear black? I don't know. So there was one store in the town we were in, and I had wandered in by myself, and I wandered out because it was all red and black. I thought it was a University of Georgia store, and she was shopping with her son's girlfriend, and I said, "Didn't you guys see the store? It was all red and black." They tell me afterwards she needs red or black. I'm like, "Well, there was a whole store of it." They know we didn't see it. I'm like, "What the heck were you two?" So fast forward a couple days, we're driving home, and we stop in Ball Ground.
Good
There's not,
time.
yeah, there's a butcher shop, really. And then there was this one little boutique. We walk in.
It's literally like a street. This town is a street.
It's a street,
A
not many.
street, one. Uno Street.
It is one street, and not
Like
even
one
everything's
boutique,
open.
one coffee shop, one butcher. Like
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a
The
good
record
time, but there's
shop,
one.
the record shop.
Oh yeah, it was good stuff, but
I
like
mean, yeah, it's
one.
good. So if you're ever north of Atlanta, going to the Blue Ridge Mountains, stop in Ball Ground. Anyhow, we walk into this boutique because she says, "Oh, I have to find this something." Okay. And I'm walking. I pull out a dress and I look at it. It's bright red velvet. I look at the style. Oh, of course, I've known her my whole life. She's older than me. I'm like, well, she has never worn this style in her life. She certainly isn't wearing it at this age, but I feel like she should put this on. So I say to her, hey, try this on. She looks at it. I said, no, just try it on. I think it will look good on you. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, what? That was kind of easy. Shocking. Like, no. Like when I say this was not her style, you know,
Oh, not at all. I was
not at
like,
all.
are
Not
you
any, the
sure?
color, the
I
color, the
was like, you're
style.
gonna put that on. Okay, that's fine. I'm
Yeah,
like
you
on the
didn't
other side
think.
of the store. I was
You
like, you
laughed,
guys
and
have
I'm
fun.
like, no, you need to put this on. Just put it on. It's, she comes out, and I was like, she's smiling. Like you can tell she knew it looked, she thought it looked good, right?
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
said, that looks really nice. Just get some tall boots. You're good to go. Get a necklace. Okay, well, we missed that memo. And I said, wait, this is for a photo. I learned this from you. You take a picture. I go, let me take a picture. I said, look, it actually photographs better than it looks in person.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
and she was like, oh my gosh. I said, I think you found your dress. Let's go get it. Shh, shh, shh. Then she's asking about if she can return it. I said, you're not returning it. I'm like yelling at her. The girls probably thought I was crazy. I'm like, you're not returning this. Stop asking them. And
She's
So
trying to find an out to her new
it's like,
energy.
yeah, and out. She was a little, it was like, ooh, this is
She's
new.
like, well, this is new.
So, and I told you later, I said, you know what? If I hadn't done that session on her, kind of bringing her out, I don't know that I could have gotten her to put that on, let alone like it.
Mm-mm.
She tells me that the girlfriend who had set up the photo shoot, like, loved her dress because she didn't. She thought she looked good, and I got snapshots of them from the photo shoot date, and then she ended up wearing it to a Christmas party later. I was
That's crazy.
like, this. Look at what you look. What happened? I mean, that wasn't my intent
Right.
when I did the session, but you say
Right.
how things can kind of happen after one. Like when I say this so was not her dress, but it turned out to be,
Hmm.
the fact that, yes, even if I had gotten her to put it on earlier, she may not. She went, because she tried to
Right.
complain about the neckline. I said, no, this is not a problem. Remember?
Well, it's like, yeah, she was trying to like recalibrate to this new energy, like this new way of seeing yourself,
Yes.
of being like you said, you didn't intend to be like, oh, let's like, we need to get you to a place where you like find this lovely dress. Like, no one could have expected this. This
I don't
wasn't
think I even
like the
knew she needed the
plan.
dress when I did the session.
No, I don't
No,
think
I
you
didn't because
did.
like just the day before the,
Yeah.
the wardrobe change for the photo shoot happened.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you didn't even know what was happening. Like there was
Mm-mm.
no way to know like, oh, this is the outcome that we're looking
Right.
for
No.
necessarily. But like then if you look in hindsight and you look back historically, kind of like at the events that happened, you're like, oh wow, well
Well,
that didn't
because I
happen. That one
know
happened.
what I did in the session and
Right.
this hiding energy she had that I got rid of for her.
Right.
And like, you're not going to hide in a bright red velvet dress.
No, you're not. Nope. I
Like,
was like, that is the opposite of hiding. Well, that is gone.
I was like, oh, you are not. I mean, where's a bright Christmas red?
Yeah. No, and that's so interesting because I remember when you told me about that and just happenstance, like in a lot of the healings that I do, somehow, like I'm always taking like things off of people, like
Mm,
bubbles or
mm,
jackets or just like
yeah, you
the
do.
like a little bit different than like the hiding kind of analogy that you
Hmm.
had, but it's like this covering of some kind.
Right.
It's like I swear 90% of people that come to me were doing something like that. And it ends up resulting in these people just like doing these things out in public,
Hmm.
being seen. And I'm like,
Right.
what the hell? You were not that person. I didn't know you very well, but I definitely know you were going to do that. And then all of a sudden, they come to me for other things. They're like, oh, I'm
Right.
like, my digestive system is off or this is off. And then, we like get rid of all this heavy energy that's been hiding them. And
Hmm.
they just go out into the world and become this entirely new person. And you're like, well, that wasn't what we focused on, but that's cool. Like, good for
Right.
you.
Exactly. So, you never know what's going to happen in a good way.
No. Right. But when these people have these expectations, like, for example,
Right.
dad's always the person that's like, well, like, I will only receive it if this is going to happen. Like, I will only receive this thing if I know what exactly is going to happen afterwards. Like, that's where you can kind of stifle the magic, really.
Well, but look at what he manifested, that exact scenario.
Exactly. I know. Well, it's like, okay, you manifested your like emergency situation. So, congratulations.
Like he did get it. That, the
Right.
scenario happened for him.
Right. So, I mean, but it's
That's
like
kind of
there's
funny.
sometimes if you have too high of expectations, you're like
Right, right.
stifling
Like
what could
I'm
happen.
I'm not doing surgery, ma'am.
Right. Sorry.
I'm not. That's not what's happening here.
Well, and you don't know how the person's going to receive it either. So, like, you're
Right.
offering these things to these people,
Mm-hmm.
and their energy body and their soul can either accept it or accept some of it or decline
Mm-hmm.
all of it. Like, you don't
Right.
know.
Right.
Obviously, if something's coming to you and they're willing, I highly doubt they're
Right.
going to reject all of it. But that's why there's such a massive difference because everyone's energy body is different, everyone's circumstance is different, how they're accepting these things, what their connection is to you is going to be different, and you just never know how it's
Well,
going to turn
and
out.
then here's what I'm gonna say. Like you say, oh, these people go out and do this, and my sister went out and did that. You and I see this,
But they don't.
but they don't see that that session is why that happened or what
Right.
helped that happen. That's kind of
Yeah.
you go, huh?
Which can sometimes be a little unfortunate. And I'm
Well,
like,
you can't get
we
butt
had
hurt over
that.
it.
I
You
know.
just have to go, ah, wave your own little flag in front of yourself and be done.
Right? Like, woohoo, good job.
Yeah, right. Like, you're not doing it to, get accolades, but sometimes you maybe wish, oh, maybe you would see the connection. But
Right.
even we take time sometimes to see. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
but like I saw that. Was she say that happened? No.
Right. But it's like the person who, the ones who's a little more connected to energetics and intuition will
Mm-hmm.
probably eventually see it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, some of these people are like, you did what? No, I just started doing this yesterday. This is just like totally
Mm-hmm.
disconnected. And I'm like, really? So,
It's kind of
all
fun to
right.
watch, though.
Isn't it? I mean, it is entertaining. I know. I
It
didn't
is.
used to like stay connected with my clients so
Mm.
much. I had to learn my transactional is not the way. I
Oh,
need to leave the corporate transactional energy
oh,
in the past and
oh.
actually,
Okay.
build some relationships and things. And that's when I started to see this. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You guys are great. I know.
Ah,
I know. I know there was a learning
that's
curve.
funny.
But yeah, I started to see this and I'm like, oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly. It's fun to watch.
it is, and that's when I started to see it when I actually started to like create relationships with these people. So, all right, so we had a lot of different topics.
Oh, we were all over the map.
So, I want to just give you the opportunity to either, share any closing remarks or where people can find you if you would like that, or just anything that you want people to know
Oh,
about you, or just whatever you would like to close up this menagerie of an
menagerie.
episode.
It is a menagerie. No, I mean, well, I'm sorry. I got mad at Instagram, so I'll be front.
Okay,
I'm
that's
still
fine.
on Instagram. Brightest You is my company.
I'll I'll put something if
You're not going to find me posting anything. That's
you're like
just,
the hidden undercover like secret
I
that like only
am.
special people know
Yeah,
about.
only special people could find me. So I guess if you're interested, you could message me, but I don't put anything out there. I just,
Fair
I
note.
just don't. I mean, yeah, I mean, I do this energy work one for fun. I mean, it's an interest to me. Um, I do like to do it. I mean, I've learned a lot when I had to do all my practice sessions.
Hmm.
It was really very, and so if you're new to it, like my mentor required a certain number of
Hmm.
practice sessions. And I think we were all kind of annoyed at first. We're like, what? You have to do 11? That sounds like a lot. Oh my gosh. But we did have, some mentoring in between. And then I could see how they morphed. And it was good. So, um, yeah, I mean, I do want other people. I don't even have to be on Zoom, my distance ones. I just connected with people and um,
Hmm.
read them, not while I was talking to them,
Yeah.
and sent them voice notes and stuff. I do, yeah. If you're interested, you can definitely contact me. But it's not like I'm out there waving a flag.
Well, if you resonate with her,
Yeah.
I'll put something so you
Okay.
can
That's fine.
contact her in some form. But yeah, don't expect like if whatever we end up putting down there, it's not going to be like, full blown.
If I
It is
see it,
her.
it is me. It's me. You'll see a couple pictures of
She's
me.
real.
Yeah, there's a couple pictures of me on my Instagram, and that's about it.
That's the real ones. I mean, okay, I do use Instagram
Yeah,
for
you do.
marketing and promoting, so
Yes.
you're going to see me out there. But I will say that there is a lot of good people out there that it's truly word of mouth. So,
Right. And
you're
that's,
just,
to be honest, so I'm so old, it's before the internet. And so you didn't find, there was no Instagram, there's no internet, and it was word of mouth. That's
yeah,
the only way you found people.
right.
That was it. I know it's hard to believe. And it did work. And it still works. Like I still kind of
Hmm.
somewhat find people that way,
I
but
mean, most people I find it's still like, yeah, maybe I'll see very well. Okay, I do
everyone's,
find a lot on Instagram, but then there's still like a connection from somebody,
mm-hmm,
usually.
right.
Or I followed them for long enough that I'm like, I feel like I know you. We're good. It's good.
It's good.
Good enough.
Yeah. I mean, I do like to meet the people sometimes. It's kind of interesting. But I mean, yeah, the word of mouth, I feel like maybe that could. come back. No.
I think
I,
it is.
is
And
it?
I think even with podcasting, like that's still like, yeah, people, put their other ways to
Mm,
contact them in there, but that
hmm.
is like a word of mouth kind of
Right.
way. It's like a more
Exactly.
extended way. Like you do get to feel like you know someone through
Hmm.
watching a conversation. It's not just these like 30-second clips on Instagram, which I think is nice to have.
Well, yeah, I mean, usually, like, if somebody has gone to the person before, that's kind of like, okay,
Right.
you had a good experience. All right. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean you will, but you could.
Right.
So at least you've
That's
got a
more
better chance.
trusting than random.
Like hiring somebody to do work on your house. Have you, anybody else experienced these people? I'm sorry, we're going through a lot of work on the house right now.
Trauma.
Oh my
House trauma.
gosh. Oh my gosh. You have no idea. I'm like, oh, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to have to detox just from this work being done
Probably.
to get ready for the next round.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being my second guest
Second
and
guess.
your first podcast
My first one.
interview. So I'm having a lot of firsts on here. I'm very excited. This is a good
Because you're
time.
doing such a great job.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being on here. Thank you for taking the time to have this very entertaining conversation. I'm
Oh
sure
my
she'll be
God.
back. Not to worry, friends.
Oh, I don't know if
We'll
they
bring
want
her
me back.
back. I'm sure I have a good feeling about this one, so
Oh
don't
my
worry.
gosh, our conversations. Oof.
And we did this on an eclipse, by the way. Like, it's not going to come out on the eclipse, but I'm like recording all this stuff on an eclipse today. I'm like, well,
Oh
who
yeah, it's
decided
supposed
this
to
was a
be
good
hitting,
idea?
remember my chart, and I don't
Oh, yeah,
know.
you got all kinds of stuff
Oh,
happening.
maybe this is the blonde
This is
meal.
it. You know
Okay.
what? Okay. I literally, wait, okay, before we close out, can I just say, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I've said it in real life. Last year, I tried to get everyone else around me to start a podcast.
Yeah.
She was one of them. No, granted,
Yes.
part of it was like, I just needed to start one, but
Yes.
also, like, she has a lot of wisdom, as you heard on this episode, to share. So, which is why I say she'll be back. And now, the very first episode you're recording is on an eclipse. There's something here. I'm just going to
There's
put that one out
something
there.
here. Well, who became my mentor. I did some other thing with her, and her parting words were share your wisdom.
Yes.
I was like, yes, because the rest of you are young and you're still in the I was like ready to shake some people.
People need to hear what you have to say.
I was
However,
like,
it needs to be
I
said,
was like, let
it
me
needs to
just tell you.
happen.
Let
We're
me
back to your human gets to decide how, whether you start a podcast, whether you just guest hop around. I don't know, but there's something to this. And I said this last year, and you're like, yeah, yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah,
here we are. I finally
here we
got
are.
you here.
You did. Very
All
good.
right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and for taking the time out of your day to spend it with the two of us because we're a
Oh my
good
gosh.
time. All right. I will see you all in the next episode. Make sure to follow on Spotify, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. It really does help the show to get out to more people. And also follow us on YouTube. And please share this episode with someone who you think would really benefit from whatever we shared, from any of the stories. And whoever was the first person that came to mind when you were listening, that's the person that needs to hear this episode. So make sure to send it to them so they can listen to it as well. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.